Hi guys, this is Connie, back for some more Connie Reads Journey with Grief. We are on chapter 4. I don't know if I should give some sort of warning, but obviously, based on the title, based on the last few previous chapters, it's pretty intense. So go at whatever pace you need to go at and do whatever you need to do to help find some peace in a very heavy subject, and I would recommend cat videos. Here is chapter 4, titled Starting the Journey. Poem titled Moving On. There is no going back. There is no getting over it. There is only moving on, forever changed, forever wounded. Moving on, with pain, with sadness. Moving on, accepting the reality of a new normal, shaped by my worst nightmare having come true. This journey asks two things of you: openness and honesty. Openness to God and to yourself, your feelings and experiences. Honesty with yourself, with God, and with trusted others. The grief journey will lead you either toward God, life and healing, or away from God, death and destruction. Be honest with yourself as you receptively and graciously explore your feelings and your direction. The choice of destination is yours, a choice you may feel like you are not fully able to make at this time. Please extend grace and patience to yourself while owning that a desire to make a choice is an important starting point. Jerry Sitzer, I'm so sorry for butchering your name. Jerry Sitzer wrote of his grief following the loss of his mother, wife, and young daughter in a car accident. Quote, I choose to turn toward the pain. Giving myself to grief proved to be hard as well as necessary. It happened in both spontaneous and intentional ways, unquote. He tells of making a choice, the same ongoing choice you will need to make. Maybe not every day, but repeatedly as circumstances present themselves. It just happens. There is an uncontrollable, spontaneous reality to grief. I liken the experience of grief to ocean waves, sometimes placid or rhythmic, and then unexpectedly crashing onto shore with power and unpredictability. The coast along the Olympic Peninsula in Washington is strewn with large tree trunks and populated with signs on tall metal poles reading, "Watch for rogue waves." The signs warn that out of the blue or gray, a wave can suddenly appear, possibly carrying one of these massive tree trunks, smashing onto shore and into you. So it is with grief. You may be driving, walking down the street, picking up something from the store, and suddenly, whack, you are flattened by a rogue wave of grief. I remember walking through the grocery store shortly after Thanksgiving, just beginning to venture out into the real world of random people, when I caught sight of a carton of premium eggnog and lost it. I wouldn't necessarily have associated Nathan and eggnog, but the rogue wave took me down. Sometime later, I recalled that Nathan would occasionally ask for eggnog, and that he always added the reminder, and don't get the cheap stuff. That was the latent association that prompted the wave of grief. The process of grieving is intentional, but not forced. The intentionality is more about fostering and maintaining an inner stance of interaction with the grief process as it emerges, and as you are able to in the moment. Resist the temptation to adjust your expression to the expectation of others. Grieving is not a linear, straightforward undertaking. Grieving helps you name, embrace, and process your loss, which then allows you to begin to accept the new normal, life after loss. Grief is not something to overcome, deny, or move through as quickly as possible, but an avenue to healing. Finally, there is no time frame for grief or for returning to, quote, normal. The process is messy and unique to each individual. As it unfolds, you will gradually begin to piece together a new normal, although you can't expect complete healing, as only eternity heals all wounds. Meaningful life does exist after the death of a loved one. If you choose to enter your journey with grief openly, and I hope you will, God will use you in the lives of others in unimaginable ways. I am not saying your experience is or will be worth the cost, but I do want you to know it will not be wasted. God often uses suffering to transform individuals by inserting love and power for good into situations and circumstances that are anything but. Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians 1:4. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 4. That we are able to comfort others with the comfort we have received. Your journey will prepare you to come alongside others with firsthand knowledge of pain, love, grace, and God, exceptionally equipped to live and share differently. If you asked me, I would trade in a heartbeat all the experiences of comfort that have flowed from my journey with grief. But if your question is, have I seen God use the tragic death of my son in my own life and in the lives of others? I would immediately answer yes, in ways I never dreamed possible. Suffering is a byproduct of living in a broken world. God uses even the loss of a loved one for good. Poem titled Second Thoughts. God, did you ever have a moment of pause as your son suffered at the hands of others? Did you ever have a second thought, even briefly, as you watched him tormented and mangled? Did a doubt ever cross your mind as your only son cried out in anguish? Did you ever have even the tiniest urge to intervene? Did you feel anything as you watched your son brutalized? What about my son? Did you ever have a moment of pause? I will have to start that stanza again. Because I just had a moment of pause. Did you ever have a moment of pause? A second thought? The tiniest urge to intervene as that truck barreled down the highway toward him? Did you ever feel anything as my son, your child, was pulverized and mangled by blunt force trauma? Wow. And the chapter ends with a list. You have a... The list is titled, You Have Permission To, and in all caps it says not. You have permission to not answer your phone, listen to voicemails, return calls, respond to texts, have your ringer on, check email, respond to email, read every card, write thank you notes, answer the door, accept invitations, respond to everyone who reaches out to you, open your home, share your heart, carry on a conversation, attend church, attend small group, allow everyone access, apologize for tears, pray. In parentheses it says, Jesus and the Holy Spirit are praying for you. Look presentable, prepare an evening meal, maintain a spotless home. New list with one item. You have permission to ask for help with any of the above. And that's the end of chapter 4. So, yeah. I think I'm going to learn to take my own advice and go check out a cat video now. Be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you. And I will see you for the next chapter tomorrow. Have a great one. Bye.